In today's video, we are going to talk about everything you could ever need to know about Ulta's points system. Now, you guys know that Ulta has sent out a 20% off coupon off of everything in the store, and a lot of people have been waiting for this moment, saving up for 2,000 points so that they can redeem for not just the $125 spend, but $157 worth of merchandise with their points. I think that is awesome. I do think that is a very good strategy, but I'd also like to provide you with some alternate opinions here, some ways where you could possibly get even more money's worth from those points. We're going to talk about how you could get 40% off a purchase, how you can get points from spending your points, and why you should never ever return anything that you purchase with your points. It's going to be a lot of fun today because we're going to talk a lot about math, which I happen to love. This is going to be a very informative video. I really hope that you guys do watch this video in its entirety because I think that if you do, you will save yourself a lot of money. Money saved is more makeup purchased. I hope you guys find this video helpful. In order to start out this video, I gotta give you guys a little bit of basics with Ulta's point system. I know a lot of you are familiar with this, so I'm gonna try to speed through it. Basically, what you need to know is that every dollar you spend at Ulta is worth 1 point. Sometimes you get multipliers that make those purchases worth even more in points. For example, 5x multipliers, 10x multipliers, meaning you would spend $1 and get 5 points or 10 points. And of course, if you're platinum, you get 1.25 times the points, and if you are diamond, you get 1.5 times the points. Now, where it gets tricky is in redeeming points, and this is because Ulta's redemption system it's kind of exponential up to a certain point, being 1,000 points, then it drops off, and then it's exponential in the exact same way until you hit 2,000 points where you get the most points. So in order to simplify this, I'm just going to tell you that 100 points equals $3, and it goes up and up until the first marker where it drops again. And again, that's 1,000 points, which is $50. Now, the reason why you don't ever want to spend your points in increments of 100 is because if you spend 100 points 10 times, you get $30 worth of merchandise. If, however, you spend that same 1,000 points 100 times 10 once in one transaction, you get $50. So in the process of taking the time to save up those points, you basically get $20 more. At 1,000 points, this point system restarts so that if you spend $1,100 in one transaction, you could get $53 worth of points, and so on until you hit that 2,000 points level where you absolutely get the most bang for your buck. You get $125, and if you do combine that with a 20% off coupon, it's $125 after the coupon, meaning you can add to your cart $157 worth of merchandise. Now, this is all really, really straightforward if you are shopping in store or if you're the kind of person who knows exactly what you like. If you are not the kind of person who goes for the best gift with purchase, the best beauty break, as Ulta calls them, this is simple. Spend at the 2,000 points level, you will always get the most bang for your points. However, many people in the deals community do not shop this way. Instead, we wait for beauty breaks. Now, if you're somehow unfamiliar with beauty breaks, these are gifts with purchase that Ulta offers at a certain price point where you get a good value of items included with your purchase. I think the most common example of this is going to happen on Wednesdays. We'll often see the with $50 purchase beauty breaks. Now, this is where it gets tricky, but I promise you I'm going to hold your hand as we walk through this difficult to understand mathematical equations here, okay? So we're going to take a sample scenario of a gift with purchase, a beauty break that is with a $50 purchase, and the beauty break itself has a $60 value. Now, if you are spending $50 of points, 1,000 points, you can qualify to get that gift with your order, spend $50, get your $50 of items, and also get an additional $60 gift with purchase, which means you have now redeemed your points for $110 worth of merchandise. If you do this 2 times, you can redeem 2,000 points for $220 worth of merchandise. If instead you decide to go for the higher points value of 2,000 points and $125, and you still want to combine that with a beauty break, if you combine it one time, as you cannot get 2 beauty breaks with your purchase, it is with a $50 or more purchase, then you are now adding $60 of value to your $125 order, which equals $185. Now, the reason that this is tricky and the reason you have got to understand yourself in order to determine which of these two scenarios is better is because you have to determine if those beauty breaks really hold the proclaimed value for you. And at this point, we're going to get a little bit into economics. I promise this will be interesting because we're going to keep it about makeup and it'll be a lot of fun. Don't you wish your professors had done that? Give me tenure. So we're going to talk real briefly about actual value versus perceived value. Actual value is the value that is set on an item. It is the MSRP. It is the retail price. So to give you an example, the Anastasia Master Palette by Mario has an actual value of $45. That is the price that it sold for. However, when we're talking about this particular palette, this was a limited edition palette that has a lot of hype and want over it, and it actually has a higher perceived value. As I'm sure you guys know, these have been selling on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money, more than double the original retail price of this, which is what I mean by perceived value. This is not perceived to be worth $45. If you have it new in box, it's worth $100. I'll use these Tarte brushes as another type of example. So I paid $42 for these. That was their actual value. However, they are now on sale for $29. And if you want my personal opinion, I barely ever use these. I did a video on them if you're interested. So I would say my perceived value of these is definitely a lot lower than the $42 that I spent. So in that instance, I feel like I devalued my own money. Here's why this is important to consider when you are thinking about going for a beauty break. When you look at a beauty break, you have to ask yourself, what is the actual value that Ulta is advertising? This is worth $100 value, for example, versus your perceived value. Is that items that you are truly interested in, or are you only interested in the price tag, and most likely you are just going to throw those items into storage? Now, this is something you have to personally ask yourself. I can't actually give you this answer. I tend to like getting beauty breaks because it gives me the ability to try more products and have more product knowledge for my channel. But this is absolutely an individual thing, and that is why you really need to know yourself when you are considering how you are going to make purchases. So I also mentioned you could get 40% off, and I'm going to tell you how. That is by opening an Ulta credit card at the same time that you are redeeming a 20% off coupon. If you are ever tempted to open an Ulta credit card, this is absolutely the time to do it. You can bring your points into it and redeem your points as well. I was so shocked when I learned this because almost always, if you're able to combine two coupons, the two kind of stack to not give you the full percentage, meaning that you would get 20% off and then another 20% off of that 20%. But I actually did see somebody successfully do it, and they really do stack to make 40% off. Now, of course, I have to put in my disclaimer about being careful with credit and definitely being careful with a store credit card. Those tend to have a very high APR. It's not a good idea for that to be your first credit card. You want to have an understanding of credit before you go and open this. But if you do have a lot of control over your financial situation, this may be something worth investing in. Plus, there are other perks associated with the Ulta credit card. I personally do not have it, but if I ever was going to open it up, you better believe it would be with this 40% off deal. I also want to touch on how you can earn points when you are redeeming points. It absolutely can be done, but it will not be to the same level as if you were spending cash. Now, the way this works is that when you spend cash, you do get that 1 or 1.25 or 1.5% in points. And if you do have a points multiplier, for example, that very common 5x points, then you will get 5 points, 5 times the points, or 5.25 times the points, or 5.5 times the points. However, when you are redeeming points, you do not get your base points back. So if you are buying an item that does not have a points multiplier attached to it, you can expect to get 0 points in return. However, if it is a brand-specific multiplier that is on your account and you are buying something from that brand, then you will now get 4 times the points. So let's do another example. If you had a 5x multiplier on your account for Anastasia Beverly Hills and you go to redeem 2,000 points or $125 worth of points, If your entire cart was nothing but Anastasia Beverly Hills, you would actually get back 500 points from that. Which is pretty neat because in the end you would ultimately be spending only 1,500 instead of 2,000 points. Now you have to also be aware that this is only with brands and it does not work on those multipliers that say 2 times your purchase, 3 times your purchase. You have to think of those points multipliers as cash spent, whereas brands can still combine with points. Alright, so you've made your points purchase, you've received your items, and now you've run into a problem because you don't like one of the items that you bought with your points. What can you do? We're going to take a scenario where you spent the 2,000 points, the $125, and one of the items you got is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. Now this is $42, you bought it with your points, but you want to return it. Here's what happens. When you take this back to the store, they can only give you back points because that's all you spent. The problem with this and the reason you don't ever want to do this is that Ulta readjusts the amount of points that you spent. So here's how the readjustment breaks down. This ends up leaving you with $83 in points that you've redeemed, which ends up being 1,000 points as $50, 750 points as $30, and finally 100 points as $3. Which means that Ulta now thinks you have redeemed a total of 1,850 points, and you get back 150 points for returning this. And you guys can do that simple math. That means you are returning this palette for under $5 back in points. Don't do it, don't return it. It is not worth it. It has made many, many people very frustrated to be in this situation. They think that it is not fair of Ulta, but ultimately it really is fair because it does look like that's the amount of points you spent. So my advice to you when it comes to purchasing items with points is to always purchase items that you feel like you are not going to want to return, so you're not put into that situation. One thing that I see so often, more so on YouTube than in the deals communities, is people who don't view their points as money, so they'll often make a big purchase of an item that they probably wouldn't have bought with their own money. Sometimes you see it appear in a declutter and they say, okay, I'm going to get rid of this $50 palette because I don't really like it, but it's not a big deal because I only bought it with points. Don't think that way. In fact, if you are at all concerned about an item that you are buying from Ulta, I highly recommend that you buy it with cash so that you can return it if it doesn't work out and save your points purchases for items that you don't ever think you're going to return. A worst case scenario, if you really get something that you really don't like, you may, and emphasis on may, be able to return it. This involves going into Ulta, getting a manager, explaining it to the manager, and at the manager's discretion, they may determine, okay, we'll give you a fair exchange for the price of this item. But don't count on it because it really is up to the managers and there is no requirement anywhere for Ulta to do this. They can definitely just say no. Alright guys, so I hope that covers everything you could need to know about points at Ulta. Leave me a comment below about what you are going to be getting in this 20% off sale. I have not yet decided myself. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like, hit subscribe, and by the way, I hate to be that person, but please do click the bell if you enjoy my videos. I've heard from a lot of people that you are not seeing my notifications in the YouTube subscription list, and the reason for that is because I often make long videos and provide timestamps and encourage you to not watch the whole video. Turns out that's been hurting my channel because YouTube thinks that people get bored from my videos quickly, so that's why they're not showing up. So if you do not want to miss my videos, definitely make sure that you hit the bell, and thank you so much for watching. Peace out, YouTube.